On this episode of Bite Sized, we are watching and discussing the 51st scene of the movie Twilight. For those of you watching along at home, that's from 1:18:50 to 1:21:26. And now, on to the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Bite Sized. If this is your very first episode, here's what's going on. My name's Ben. I am your host, and I'm picking cat hairs out of my microphone so they stop tickling my mustache. I am also watching the movie Twilight one scene at a time with a new guest every week. I find someone to be on the show. I send them anywhere from about 90 seconds to 3 minutes of the movie, and we talk about it for about a half hour. Joining me today, I have an actor, drag king, pop culture enthusiast, Twilight historian you may remember from a past episode of this show, Jack Chylinski. Welcome back to Bite Sized.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today.
Yeah, you've been waiting for this scene for a very long time.
I'm going to say over a year. Literally.
We're going to get deeper into that for a second. But first, for people who have maybe not listened to your past episode, let's start things off the normal way. What is your history with the Twilight franchise?
This was my girlhood. This was middle school. This was everything to me. I remember going to a midnight book release. I remember going to the midnight movie premieres. Yeah. I bought the shirts at Hot Topic. Like, I was there for
You were the target audience.
100%. 100%. And it's followed me back into my adulthood.
Yeah.
Every year there's somebody who does a Twilight rewatch. And every year I join them for at least some of it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just on.
It is.
You know?
Especially if you, like, it'll pop up on Netflix or whatever every now and again. And if you have any kind of, like, cable or YouTube TV, it's just like, oh, here we go. Freeform. Thank you.
It's kind of the thing that people will play at house parties now. I'm
really?
So serious. Yes.
You and I go to different house parties.
Yes, we do. It's, like, so iconic.
Yeah.
Especially. So, yeah, it just brings a specific vibe. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm going to cut this short. If you want to hear more about Jack's personal history, go back and listen to whatever episode you were on earlier, 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Because we have a lot to talk about today. Jack, when I first started this Twilight podcast, and before I had recorded a single episode, I was putting out feelers for people who would maybe be interested. And I talked to you after a show one day, and you said, yes, the baseball scene. And so many times after that, I cannot tell you the number of times I have asked someone, a friend, a stranger, if they want to be on the show. And I'd say a solid 10 to 20% of them have asked, yeah, can I do the baseball scene? And I've had to break it to them gently that no, that's been claimed for a very long time. So before we get into, it's the baseball scene, we all know what it is. Before we get into it, why this scene? What made you stake your claim that so long ago? What now must be literally 2 years ago.
First, I just want to say to all my haters and doubters out there, I'm sorry that I stole this spot from you, but I'm not sorry because you got to get in when you can.
Right.
Core memory in the IO Theater Bar and Grill and Saloon of asking you if I can do this scene.
Yeah.
It is the piece de resistance of the first movie. It's what I would argue one of like top 3 moments that made the first movie.
Sure.
It was so iconic, and more importantly, which we will get into, it is extremely homoerotic.
It's just erotic in general.
Yes.
Just the eroticism, homo, hetero, or otherwise.
All of it.
It's steeped in it.
There's something for everybody.
My theory that I've been sort of putting on ice until we were finally able to talk about this is that this scene exists for the male gaze. And that's Gaze, but also could be the male gaze.
Well, yes.
This scene, they were like, okay, girls are going to be dragging their boyfriends, husbands, whoever to this movie. We got to give them something.
Something.
Because the movie changes dramatically in this scene. It is sexy in a more overt way than it has been in the past, specifically the way it focuses on female characters. There is you could call more traditionally masculine rock song under this. Best
song in the soundtrack.
Oh, I agree. 100%. And like, I was a big Muse fan before I even knew what Twilight was.
Right.
And so when I watched this for the first time, I was that guy who was like, this movie's not for me. a 19-year-old straight dude or whatever. But then I hear Muse and I'm like, all right, I can appreciate this kind of.
See, now this is why I got into Muse. So this is what's bringing us together.
Right. This is This is how you solve just all the problems of the world.
Any humanitarian crisis.
Homophobia, heteronormativity, all that sort of stuff.
The Twilight baseball scene and
sexism
news.
solved by this scene. This is how we can all relate to each other. Yeah, it's normally I give a brief overview of the scene before we get into it, but it's the baseball scene. We know what we're talking about. So let's just start it off. We're out in the Washington wilderness. They're going to play baseball during a thunderstorm. Finally, Bella does ask,
since when do vampires like baseball?
Well, it's the American pastime. And, there's a thunderstorm coming. It's the only time we can play. You'll see why.
It's America's favorite pastime.
It is, but getting struck by lightning is not America's favorite pastime. And you think she should be more concerned about that.
I don't blame her. My question is, I'm like, is this their way of assimilating? Is getting into America's favorite pastime? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, are y'all even all from America? I feel like no.
Well, most of them are. Carlisle is not.
Right.
Carlisle is some sort of European because he's like 500 years old.
Yeah.
But like, Edward is from Chicago.
Fierce.
And Esme, his wife, is from like Wisconsin. We've talked about that in a previous episode where I'm not gonna relitigate this again, but apparently Esme's backstory is that she jumped off a cliff and then wound up in Carlisle's hospital in Chicago, despite the fact that the nearest cliff to Chicago is a good 300 miles away.
All right, dramaturgy, schmamaturgy. Okay, who needs it?
Stephanie Meyer did so much research into so many things except that one.
I trust her geography understanding.
Okay. Speaking of geography, one of the shots is a very loud waterfall. And I feel like if they want to play baseball, they could just do it next to that waterfall when it's not going to rain, because that's pretty loud anyway. I don't know, just a thought.
It's more of a white noise. I think they need the crack.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to fight for them on this one.
Okay. Someone is driving out in the Jeep. It's got to be Edward and Bella because everyone else is already there. Not in the Volvo, in the Jeep, borrowing Emmett's car for the day, I guess. They roll out. Esme asks Bella to be the umpire.
Glad you're here. We need an umpire.
She thinks we cheat.
Well, I know you cheat. Calm as you see him, Bella.
Okay.
Because, like, of course, she's not strong, she's not fast, she can't play baseball like they can. But I think this is a tough position for her to be in, because the vampires are, of course, impossibly fast, and they're going to be doing things that she, with her human eye, cannot see. So she's just going to have to guess and hope she doesn't start a fight.
And does she end up starting a fight?
I mean, almost a little bit. A little bit.
A little bit. She kind of can't win.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to say is Esme... It was pity. It was pity. Bring her in. You can be umpire. It's like you didn't make the football team, but you can be the water boy.
Right. You can be the cheerleader for a baseball team. Yeah.
But cheerleader, not feminism actually. So they said umpire.
Before we get too far away from Esme, let's talk about Esme.
Let's get into it.
She is wearing a wig. And it is no more obvious than in this scene, because she is wearing a wig and then she's also wearing a baseball hat. And that baseball hat is so puffed out. It looks like she's wearing like 2 or 3 more hats under that hat. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work.
To me, that's lazy wig
styling.
styling.
Community, please tell us about the wig work here.
I'm like, I know that wig is not laid down. I know there is nearly a bobby pin in there because you just slapped a hat on it.
She is not like, and it looks like even like her natural hair under the wig, she's not wearing like any kind of cap or anything to keep that flat.
Nothing.
You think?
No, there's nothing. I was like, where is the production?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where is the commitment to
Where
the wig?
is the costume department specifically?
Where are they? Where's the dresser? Where is the wig stylist? I know. And it adds to the hat predicament.
Esme's not the only one who has this problem in the scene. It's most of them who are wearing wigs, but it's Esme especially.
Hers is the worst. Yeah. I did notice that. It looks unnatural. It doesn't look, the wig is not laid. No. Like it's not happening for her.
It's I'm going to call it bad.
And I know under that cap is probably the most terrifying hard front you've ever seen in your life.
I don't know what a hard front is, but I'm going to agree with you.
And I hope you never know. I shouldn't even know. Okay. If we're being so real. I know too much.
They're wearing baseball hats, obviously, because they're about to play baseball. And they're like old-timey baseball hats. And most of them have a C on the front for Cullen, except for Rosalie, who has a G.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say... reverse colors, clock it.
Yeah.
And a G.
A G. What's
so
up
what
with
is that?
She a Gullen or something?
Who's G?
I don't know.
Is she a seagull? Because she's Gullen.
What's her? She's Rosalie Hale is her last name in the books.
So that doesn't even make sense either.
No. That's just the only hat she can get a hold of, I guess.
Maybe she thrifted it.
My theory, I mean, going back to the costume department, they ran out of C hats and saw a G and were just like, no one's going to notice.
Close enough.
But we did.
Wow, but we did.
We got him, Jack.
And that's the kind of detective work that happens on Bite Size.
Yes, exactly. Where we watch this movie basically frame by frame and pause it and say, let's look at this hat for no particular reason.
You're a real Nancy Drew over here.
That's what they call me.
Wow.
I'm the Nancy Drew of the Twilight world. My nickname around here has been a Bear Girl Detective.
I've heard that about you.
God, I wish.
Maybe one day.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. They really thought they'd get away with that one. I'm wondering if this is one of like how many continuity errors there have been up to this moment, or is this the first moment where they were really caught slipping? Where was this in the production timeline? I have to ask.
I couldn't tell ya.
Hi, Editor Ben here. Just popping in because I got curious about this and I looked it up, and it turns out that just this year at a Comic-Con panel, there was a reunion of some of the Twilight actors, and they talked about this baseball scene. I found this covered on a website called thepopverse.com. The headline is "The Twilight Movie Cast Reveal the Real Reason They Were Wearing Hats in the Iconic Baseball Scene." And I'll summarize because there's a lot of quotes here, but basically, it was really raining the day they went to shoot. They had been rehearsing for days, but then the day that they showed up to actually shoot it, it was honestly actually raining, which makes shooting difficult and was wreaking havoc with people's makeup. So Catherine Hardwicke, not wanting to lose the opportunity to shoot the scene, asked for baseball caps, which means these must have been procured really quickly, which would explain why they don't all look exactly the same. Now, at first I thought that meant they must have retconned, why are you playing baseball in the rain? But that can't be it, because the rainy element was in the book. So I guess they were planning on making it rainy in post-production, but they ended up having to contend with real rain, which is much harder to control, thus the slight messiness. Okay, bye.
They start to play baseball, and this is where it gets real male-gazy because Alice throws out a pitch.
Okay, hear me out.
I'm just gonna let you go on this one.
If you were to ask me right now,
Yeah.
when did you know that you were gay?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was right then.
I mean, I called this as we were watching it. That's the shot that birthed a million lesbians.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like, it truly, another core memory.
Right.
And the way that I even remembered it was more in slow motion. I would say even got higher. We just rewatched it and I was like, as a seasoned gay person, I was like, oh, but as a youth, forget about it, honey.
Yeah, never seen nothing like that before.
That was half the movie.
Yeah.
That was half the movie.
I know you to be a very flexible person. Do you think you could do that?
100%.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm ready anytime.
Jeez, right now?
You put this on its feet, I'm there. I'm cross-dressing for Alice.
All right, Jack. I'll call your bluff. Hold on a second. I need to clear up some space on my iPhone so I can take video of this. And listener, you're going to know whether or not this worked when you see this video.
I'm glad I stretched today. That's all I have to say. I'm thrilled I stretched today. I woke up and I said, maybe I'll stretch.
It's a good thing you did, because
now
I'm gonna call your shit.
I know why.
Yeah.
Wow.
God had a plan.
God had a plan. The divine was happening today.
Okay, I think I've cleared up enough space on my iPhone to take
Headphones
a video.
going off.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're recording. All right, that was pretty good.
That was fierce.
Yeah, come back on mic and we'll talk about it.
That was fierce.
Do you want to see how you did? You're incredibly dramatically backlit here. It's a little bit Twilighty, I would say.
Perfect.
Here, go ahead and take a look at that. I'll post this on the social meds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I ate that.
All right.
I need a comparison of me to Alice.
Okay.
I want to see.
You're asking me to do some heavy duty editing there,
and I believe in you.
All right, I'll figure it out by the time this episode comes out.
Come on, marketing.
Anyway, Alice does that. She does her incredibly high kick. Everyone loves it. the boys love it, especially.
the girls.
Look, everyone.
It was really for everybody.
It built bridges in society, really. And this is not, now that I think about it, this is around the same time that Iowa became the first state to legalize gay marriage.
And this is why.
There's something here. This was a cultural movement that everyone was like, we're getting on board with this. It's, as far as baseball goes, absolutely terrible.
Oh, yeah.
If you actually threw a baseball like that, it would hit the dirt in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where I am going to lose my hold on to my straight audience by being a 30-year-old man talking about baseball. Just absolutely terrible form. No follow through. All in the arm. You played softball, right? As a young person.
For years.
So when you're pitching like that, your power comes from your core and like from your back leg.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just all shoulder.
All shoulder. No stability.
And like I get that she's a vampire. And she can throw it very fast, but like she's throwing to another vampire. And if she had decent form, she would be doing a lot better.
But here's what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Counter. If you were a vampire,
yeah,
wouldn't you like jazz up your pitch a little bit?
I mean, yeah, I guess.
If you can, she's showing off.
I'd give it some flair like that. Why not?
I would to a little razzle dazzle. She's a vampire playing baseball in a thunderstorm.
If you don't have to worry about repetitive stress injuries, you can do weird stuff like that.
If I were immortal, the pitches you would see come out of me would be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've already seen a pretty crazy pitch come out of you as a regular person.
That is so true.
Let's talk about this pitch because she throws it. And who is it? Jasper? Emmett?
No, it's Rosalie.
It's Rosalie. That's right. With the G hat. Rosalie hits it. And it's a good thing she hit it because right behind, so like Bella is standing there and she's not wearing like any padding or helmet or anything. If Esme doesn't catch the ball or Rosalie doesn't hit the ball, if like that ball hits Bella, she's like DED dead.
Oh yeah, she's out of here.
That's another way in which the Cullens put her in a terrible position in this game.
They didn't even give her like a stomach pad.
No, not a face mask or nothing. They really have a lot of faith in their own ability.
That's what
to make sure this ball. And there is an argument to be made that they're vampires. They have fast reflexes, but also like that ball is moving at vampire speeds.
That's true, but is there room for vampire error?
That's what I'm saying. If they make a vampire mistake, Bella's gone.
True. She's just back there tucking her hair behind her ear anyways. You know what I mean? She wouldn't be ready for it.
Yeah.
Even if she were like Darwin's ideal top person, she couldn't do it.
Darwin's ideal top.
Episode title.
Bringing back the gays. But Rosalie hits it, and then Edward has to run really fast to go get it. Kind of weird that Emmett and Edward, they're in the outfield. They're playing very close.
Oh, yeah.
Considering that they know, vampires hit the ball really hard, you think they would be a lot further away so they don't have to run as much to go catch the ball.
Are they the outfield?
Yeah.
I guess
no, they're like barely off the dirt. This is where, again, I reveal to the audience that I'm a 31-year-old man with all the stereotypical interests of a 31-year-old man. They're playing very shallow.
Yeah.
They should be a lot further back so that when they do have to run into the trees, it's a lot easier.
But to quote Esme, Edward's pretty fast.
He is pretty fast. I get that.
But
the ball's going to be going pretty fast, too.
I know if I were a woodland creature, my shit would be rocked.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that those squirrels were scared.
They're definitely taking out an endangered owl nest or two.
Absolutely. And where was the PETA protests?
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress.
Rosalie hits it very hard. Good swing, I would say.
Great swing.
I have here in my notes, I will not make this too much about baseball, and I have already failed that.
No, it was great. I needed it. I tracked the game, and I was going to see if I got it all right. Because it's Alice, Rosalie, Alice, Emmett, Alice, Jasper, then it's back to Rosalie. So we see a few innings in this scene.
I know we see we see half an inning because Alice is always pitching and Emmett and Edward are always in the outfield.
Okay.
And so we see Rosalie go up, then Jasper, Carlisle, Rosalie again. So a full rotation.
Can you tell I've only been to one baseball game this year? And I was drinking beer and eating hot dogs for half of it?
That's how you're supposed to do it.
Thank you. I agree.
One of these days I'm going to do the 999 challenge.
Which is
9 innings, 9 beers, 9 hot dogs.
Oh.
Every inning, you drink a beer, you eat a hot dog.
You shouldn't have told me that.
I will. We're going to do that next summer.
I'm down.
Go to a White Sox game. Have
I will
a great
do that.
time.
Correct.
Better
I will
than
do
if-
that
yeah.
anytime.
All right. Jasper gets up to bat, and he's just flipping that bat around like nobody's business.
Oh, again, theatrics. You're a vampire.
Yeah. This whole scene is really the dream ballet of the Twilight movie.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone's very exaggerated. Even like the camera work in ways that I really like it. It's like very fast then very slow. It's a lot of like snap zooms and a lot of slow motion and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Oh yeah.
Like we were watching when Carlisle gets up to bat, he points his bat out like Babe Ruth. He calls his shot. And it like there is this cool like zoom back with the tip of the bat and like almost like fisheye-ish kind of
Yes.
shot. I actually really liked the way this scene is shot.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's literally, I mean, I know there's something for the cinephiles. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like it is really well shot.
Yeah, no, it really is.
And it was practical.
Yeah,
as
I mean,
well.
pretty. There's other than like the running fast movements. Yeah, it's just like you can clearly tell it's just some actors out there, playing dramatic baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. With the little, like Emmett climbing on the tree. I'm like, okay, you were probably connected to, the fish line or whatever.
yeah.
And it's so fierce.
It's maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna say maybe it is the best scene in the movie, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a hard yes because when everybody thinks about Twilight, they always think about the baseball scene first. Like it was the most impactful.
Right.
And
like I've talked to a lot of people who have done various. Talk to people to be on the show who have done like musical adaptations, like stage adaptations, musicals, burlesque, that kind of thing.
Twihard.
And yeah, that kind of thing. I haven't had, not from that show, but from other similar shows.
Yeah.
And they're always like, yeah, the baseball scene, it always gets turned into a very elaborate choreography number.
Yeah.
Because it basically is the dream ballet of the movie.
Rodgers and Hammerstein's Twilight would have a 15-minute baseball dream ballet.
And it would still be incredible.
Oh, and I would be seated every time.
Yeah.
Right before, and it would be at the end of Act 1.
I would put it at the beginning of Act 2.
Oh.
But just because there's not really a ton that happens after this, I feel like narratively you gotta...
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right, well, so when we put this on the stage, we'll keep that in consideration.
I think you end Act 1. And when we turn Twilight into a 2-act Broadway musical, I think you end Act 1 in the woods with the whole "this is the skin of a killer," that big revelation.
Skin of a killer, Bella.
Because that's a good hook to end a first act on.
No, you're right. You're right.
And then you bring this in maybe, 1 or 2 numbers into Act 2.
And it'll bring people back from
Right.
intermission
Right.
with
it
a beer
will.
in their hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready to
And
do
a
the
hot dog.
999 at the theater.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Which will be
9
an
beers,
option.
9 hot dogs, 9 acts. It's horrible.
For Twilight, all 4 movies, one evening.
We're gonna get kicked out of so many theaters.
I'd do it.
I would absolutely do it too.
I would do it.
That I went to my first Broadway shows last year, and I think they would be a lot better if you could get hot dogs.
Right?
Yeah, you can get
first?
beers. Yeah, I'd never been to New York before, and I'd really only seen like one professional musical before I met my now wife.
What did you see?
On Broadway or
Yeah,
before?
on Broadway.
The first show I think was Kimberly Akimbo.
Oh.
No, it was Funny Girl with Leah Michele.
Oh, fierce.
Do you want to turn this into a Funny Girl podcast?
Absolutely. I'm like, how much time do you all have?
We've been recording for 23 minutes, which is like, honestly, baby, we got time.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't love Funny Girl with Leah Michele. I liked the show, did not love Leah Michele.
Yeah.
There are so many lines where the character Fanny Bryce like sees some other showgirls and is like, I don't look like those girls. And like, yes, you do, Leah Michele.
Yes, you do.
They have all had surgery to make sure that they look like you.
No,
like,
literally.
I wish I had seen it with Beanie Feldstein because I heard it was very bad. But I feel like as a type, Beanie as an actor makes more sense for that role than Leah Michele does.
I agree. Justice for Beanie Feldstein. I don't think she was nearly as bad as everybody thought she was. And in fact, I bought Funny Girl with Beanie, like merch with Beanie's face on it just to have. Never worn it. Need it though. Because I love Beanie so bad.
Yeah.
And I just think she would have torn in that role if they had given her the chance.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. But they didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't.
And just to end this little subcategory, little podcast win of the podcast.
It all comes back.
Funny Girl. My wife, Mindy, who's been on a couple episodes of the show, went to high school with and was friends with the person who started the rumor that Leah Michele can't read. I know, right?
She's connected to the source material?
Yes.
That is something to write home about.
And
That is something I would brag about every day.
Oh yeah, she doesn't brag about it every day, but like it
my
was
God, I'll
something
do
I
it for
learned
her.
early on.
That is so iconic. I've
know,
always
right?
wanted to know where that old lore came from.
Oh, when my wife gets back from the little walk she's on right now,
My wife.
ask her about it.
I will.
Yeah.
I literally will.
All right, let's get back to baseball.
Okay, back to baseball.
Enough
shall
about
we?
Funny Girl. Back to baseball. Yeah. I don't think we've talked about the part where Edward and Emmett try to catch a ball and they bump into each other.
We need to talk about it.
Right.
First of all, cinematic, so fierce. The
Yeah.
lightning where they smack each other. But to me, I was like, there is something homoerotic about this. Like, this
Right.
is, you know?
It's the way that they land and still stay there for a little bit.
Okay,
'Cause they're
right?
vampires. They're very fast. They could get right back up, but they stay there.
They're not competitive at all.
No.
They're a little too chummy. The way Edward kind
Yeah.
of like, ah ha ha.
Give
Like,
them a little nudge.
yeah, I was like,
know?
something's a little too playful here.
Okay.
And they're all family by choice. It can get a little freaky, I'm sure.
Maybe it's just men having friendships and being open with their emotions and physical contact in a way that men normally aren't allowed to be.
that too, but that's the
Or
less
could
fun
be a
answer.
gay thing, I guess.
I'm going to go gay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising.
Okay, wait. Speaking of gay tension, we need to talk about Bella and Rosalie after Bella was like, you're out.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're like, it's supposed to be through this cis het lens. I'm sure it's like, okay, it's like, obviously sister doesn't want this like new woman in the house.
Right.
But to me, I was like, what's going on, Diva? The way she's mad, I'm like, you are jealous. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I'm like, you're a little jealous of Miss Bella here.
That's the vibe that she really has with Bella for, all of this movie and probably the future ones as well.
In another world, I'm like, this is an enemies to lovers trope.
Sure.
To me.
You ship it?
Yeah, I ship it.
All right.
I'm going to say it. I love doomed romance.
Oh, yeah.
You
Don't
know?
we all?
Don't we all? It's kind of why I like Twilight in the first place.
And then the baseball game gets interrupted because we see a few guys walking up out of the mist and Alice yells, stop, in a very dramatic way. And that's how the scene ends.
Stop!
If every time I entered a space, a guitar riff happened, I would be a
Yes.
villain too.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about is that like weird like hair metal
Oh, yeah.
that is like so not like any other part of any other music in this movie, which confirms for me like that is the end of the boy part of the movie. That's the director telling the men in the crowd, okay, your turn is over.
Yeah.
We're going back to the girl stuff now.
Yeah. T. I think that's true. This scene embodies like masculinity, I think, in a way that's very interesting.
Yeah.
We need to talk about how Emmett is like,
Let's do it.
shadow boxing at the beginning. Have you ever seen a baseball player shadow box to get ready for a game? Be
No,
honest. And you're a
never.
baseball aficionado, so how about that?
I've seen a lot of baseball players do a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
And shadow boxing ain't one of them.
No.
You know what I mean? It's this kind of, even I don't know, it's just like the heightened baseball of it all
Right.
is so masculine in a way.
Yes, it is almost, and in the same way that like you as a drag king would
Yeah.
know that it is a heightened masculinity, an almost
100%.
caricature of a classically masculine event of like this incredibly dramatic baseball game with the very over the top dude rock. It's
Dude rock,
Yeah.
for real. I mean, even, just like these two dudes, like, and
Right.
it's a lightning strike. Like, that's so, like, capital M masculine to me.
right. Throw in the bad wigs. This is basically a drag scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, the drags do love to do this scene.
That I
Because it's
100% believe
iconic.
that. And drag performers love to show off that they can do the splits.
They do. And they love Supermassive Black Hole
That
by
was me
Muse.
personally calling you out when
Well-
I said drag performers like to show off they can do the splits.
Me rolls right off my back, water off
am
a
I
duck's
wrong?
back. No, you're absolutely right. It
If
is
the
my
boot
brand.
fits.
You know this from improv too.
I do.
I love an emergency
I
split.
have seen you in so many scenes just be like, you know what this needs right now? Me doing the splits.
And did it every time.
It works every time.
It works every time.
The audience loves it.
They love it. My hips
honestly,
will pay.
I'm jealous.
But it's
'cause
worth it. Well,
I cannot remotely come close to the splits.
I believe in you.
I did the splits once on accident. It hurt.
And yeah,
I
did you feel
had
that
just
for
got
months
my
after?
first pair of Heelys, and my legs went in different directions.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
popped in that moment, didn't it?
No, it almost tore. But I eventually figured out how to use them and did not do that again.
Okay, so it didn't scorn your relationship with Heelys, is what I'm hearing.
No, that was my first. I had a pair of Heelys, much like some people had a Twilight Renaissance. I had a Heelys Renaissance because I got my first pair of Heelys when they first came out, probably around third grade ish.
Oh yeah.
And then grew out of those pretty quick, obviously. And then around eighth grade, I was like, you know what I want? Another pair of Heelys.
Yeah, bring it back.
It was great. Loved
Yeah.
it. Had a great time.
There's often times where I'm a fast walker, but sometimes I think to myself, I could really use a Heeley right now.
Yeah.
You know?
You're in a grocery store and you just see 50 feet of smooth ass tile in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
And you think I could just whiz down this aisle right
Heeley
now.
heaven.
That's what they were made for.
Absolutely. Is to whiz through the grocery store and probably knock over somebody's Meemaw.
Right.
But it's worth it.
But it's worth it.
You know, it's
because
a-
you look bitchin'.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a memory in the grocery store you'll never forget.
Right.
I'm always making unforgettable moments in the grocery store.
My Heelys. Good times. You have a lot of notes there on the baseball scene. Did we get to all of them?
I don't know why I thought this was odd,
Yeah.
but when Rosalie was like,
My monkey man.
Emmett was playing, she was like, my monkey man.
Oh, yeah. She calls him Monkey Man.
I was like, do monkeys play baseball?
no, they climb trees. He did the tree climb thing.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? And I guess he kind of does look like a monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a fierce ending, and I think it's so funny that like Alice sees it first, and then they all are just like, like kind
Right.
of
She has
immediately.
when she calls stop like that, she has this like that's so Raven
Yes.
moment of like I see something.
Raven Simone the blueprint, honestly,
Yeah.
for Alice.
You think so?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
If you had to give this scene a name, what would it be? And that would also be the name of the episode, so please make it good. And I'm going to see if you can remember that thing you said earlier was going to be it, or if you come up with something new. I know.
Do monkeys play baseball?
Is that a question or the name of the scene?
I think that's the name of the scene.
All right. Do monkeys play baseball?
And then to me, right
the
now in
answer
this
is like,
moment,
no. Unless that monkey is Emmett.
yeah,
Jack Chylinski, if people liked the sound of your voice and want to see you do a very high kick in person, where can they do those kind of things? Or maybe follow you on social media?
they can find me on Instagram at Peeper Johnson Drag.
Yeah.
Or Chylinsk, CHYLINSK
Two Twitter
__
accounts.
Yeah, if you want me to know, just one now. If you want me to be annoying on Twitter and really just give you my every thought, which I know you're
Yeah.
all dying to hear, you can find me at Twitter on at Peeper Johnson.
Sure. All right, there you go. If you want to follow the show on social media, please do so at bitesizedpod_ on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you want to find out more about the show, that kind of thing, you can go to twilightpodcast.com. If you want to reach out to the show, you can send an email to myfavoritetwilightpodcast.com. If you enjoy the show, please help us grow it. Tell a friend, leave a rating, a review, that kind of thing. The show is getting bigger. I talked about this in last week's bonus episode that I'm going to record after we do this. But I think it's finally starting to get to the point where it's like suggested in podcast apps because I'm getting downloads from I didn't expect to get. Anyway, all that information and more at twilightpodcast.com. If you want to help the show financially, you can go to twilightpodcast.com/store and see more about that there. Thank you so much to my editor, Ben Oxher, for putting this show together. Thank you to the band Swimwear Department for letting use their song Mauled to Death as their theme. Give them a listen wherever you find music. Thank you to Kellen Lutz for hearing this episode. It hasn't happened yet, but you can tell us all about how you climbed that tree that one time. That is it. That is the end of the episode. As we always say at the end of every episode,
Dun, 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 dun. Let's play some baseball.
I'm not going to repeat it. Yeah, that's good enough. That's what we say. See you next time.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you were looking at your phone.